This time I had a special request. My best friend wanted something built, specially for her, customized up the exact measurements that she had sent me via text. She wanted a tray for her window that matches the rest of the decor, so it needed to have specific bows. Of course I could not say no and went right to it. I went to Home Depot to get a few of those boards that cost me around $3 each. I did buy way too many. One would have been enough, but you know, that's great for future projects. So, follow me and lass uns anfangen. I started a project by marking the boards to where they need to be cut, so I can match it to the dimensions provided. To cut the boards, I used my miter saw. Make sure you tie back your hair if needed and wear some eye protection. Funny thing is, as I bought the lumber for the build, I thought the box would be much larger than it actually was. That's why I purchased all this lumber. After I marked the cut, it seemed too short and I remeasured just to make sure I'd marked it correctly. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. But yeah, I was correct the first time. FYI, power tools will not work without power. Every time I work with construction lumber, I like to clean up the sides and make them square, so I cut off just enough to take off the rounded edges. I think that always makes the project much cleaner, even if you decide to round over the edges later on again. And then it was time for the glue up of the bottom panel. Therefore I used my clamps. Since the tray was only going to be about 5 inches wide, I glued up 2 of the pieces and let them dry for a few hours. I used to have one of those silicone brushes to apply the glue, but I misplaced it and I can't find it anymore. My fingers will do. And then it was time to do some sanding. I used 120 grit sandpaper. And like always, let's have fun with it. The pieces are smooth and even the bottom panel is ready to go. Next step is the assembly. Now it's the last time to check that all the pieces are the correct size, and there was just a millimeter too much on one of the pieces, so I took that off with the miter saw to make it just perfect. Measure one more time and yes, passt wie angegossen. I decided to go with simple wood glue and nails, since the tray will be placed on the windowsill and doesn't need to carry any weight. No need for large screws for this project. Oh, and Murphy's Law did not apply here, it actually landed so the glue was not spilled. Unbelievable. I'm using my bread nailer and 18 gauge 1-inch nails. Well, that was a super simple build. To fully dry the glue, I decided to lay it back into the clamps. The nail hold everything in place, but just to make sure. While the glue is drying, I went to work on the design of the bows that I cut by using a laser. I noticed during the cut that the power was set too high. But that's an easy fix with the laser, since I can adjust the power and speed during the cut. The laser only took a few minutes to cut out all of the bows. The next step is to go back into the workshop to get those bows spray painted. Most important step here is to follow the instructions and shake them real good. The cans, that is. Once sufficiently shaken, spray on a thin layer and let that dry. I don't usually follow these instructions. I'm a horrible spray painter. I always use too much too fast, so don't do as I do. Also, you should probably wear a mask. I moved the pieces over to the side to dry, while I was stuffing the nail holes with wood filler, and then finished the piece with paint. I don't use wood filler very often, so mine is rock hard, but it can be fixed by adding some water. And then I just used my fingers to smear the wood filler into the holes to plug them. I let the wood filler dry briefly and then sanded it one more time lightly. And then it's ready for the paint. I'm using the same white stain that I used for my American flags. I really like how the white applied to the wood. It does not look caked on like most thicker stains. It gives it a very even outcome. And you can still slightly see the wood pattern. I applied 2 coats of the white stain, then let it dry, and then added 2 layers of the finish. I did sand slightly in between the layers. To be able to use the foam brush for multiple layers, I stored it in a plastic bag until I could apply the next layer. To keep the finish from hardening on the foam brush, make sure to let out most of the air. As a last step, I glued on the bows using CA glue. I somewhat eyeballed the spacing to make it look even. And wir are fertig! Wow, another project in the books. I absolutely love the tray and I'm sure my friend will too. What do you think? I think it's super cute. Honestly, I'm really debating here to keep the tray for myself, since it fits perfectly the dimension of my windowsill. How cool is that? What do you think about the project? Do you like it? Please like, comment and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Most importantly, click the bell button to get notified of new videos. If you can, please join my Patreon for more pictures and videos. This helps me create more YouTube content. Thank you so much for all your support. See you next time. Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.